All right. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of Breaking Through Your Brick Walls. This is a live podcast where you get to meet successful business owners and receive a glimpse of life behind the scenes and the struggles that they've had and overcome. It's full of gold nuggets, and it's the place that we're hanging out to be authentic and share a piece of real life with you. So today I'm talking with Karrie, and Karrie is a Pinterest marketing strategist. So for the last 3 years, she's helped dozens of women entrepreneurs build their incomes, their visibility, and their expert status using Pinterest. She also loves teaching and strategizing with DIYers to help them maximize their Pinterest accounts through her course, Pinning Foundations. When she's not down the Pinterest rabbit hole, she can be found homeschooling her 3 children or reading a book. And my name is Pamela Lewerenz. I'm the Brick Wall Coach, a productivity coach that works with overwhelmed, stressed out solopreneurs to help them create space and time in their busy days. So if you're tired of trying to stay focused on all the things there are to do with running a business, I'm the gal that can help you out clearly and confidently. So I am so excited to bring Karrie on with me today. Welcome, Karrie.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, this is great because I'm sure there's a ton of people out there that are like me that had no idea you could use Pinterest for business. I thought it was for recipes and looking up how to make ornaments and
Well, now is the year. I mean, this is the busiest season on Pinterest. And actually, I read a statistic that people start as early as July
oh, wow.
planning for the holidays.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
and that's what, and Pinterest people are, they're planners. I mean, we go there with a problem to solve. And so, whether it is like, I got to find a gluten-free chocolate cake, or I got to find a keto pumpkin pie recipe, or do I need to learn how to use Pinterest? Do I need to, how to, maximize my productivity? I mean, it is the same.
Yeah.
And so normally when I say that, they're like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes perfect sense. And the more that we had talked about it and I started diving into it and looking, there's a ton of information out there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I said when I'm not down the rabbit hole, because I get sucked in with everybody else. And so I just have to control myself when I'm actually working on client stuff. So
I hear you. I hear you. So why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, that face behind the name of your business, so that people that aren't familiar with you
Mhm.
can get to know you a little bit.
Sure. Well, like in my intro, I'm a homeschool mom. I have 3 kiddos, and I started my business about 3 years ago. My kids are older, a little bit older, so I didn't have babies hanging on my leg, thank God. Um, but I originally started out as a blogger, and through blogging, I had found out this whole online space, and people were using the term virtual assistant. And I had come from corporate America. I'd done different admin roles, marketing assistant roles, and I found out that I didn't love blogging because it really, my intention was to monetize it and be a blogger, but you really have to be consistent, and there, there's a lot that goes into that, I found. And I mean, I do blog for my business, but at that time it was like, there was no way I can, do a blog post a week with kids and, all the things that come with taking care of a family and a home and all that. And so I'm
Oh,
like,
it's a big consistency, a big
it really
consistency.
is. But that's how also I learned too, like with being a blogger, Pinterest was sort of that blogging platform. And so that was how I was introduced to Pinterest and the power of Pinterest. And that stayed with me. And so I ended up shutting down that personal blog and then starting, this business. And then, I used Pinterest to help my business. And then through different, kind of iterations. We pivot as we kind of go along
For
with
sure.
our business. And so I was a virtual assistant, a tech VA, a social media manager. And then I'm like, well, I just really love Pinterest. And, now there's Pinterest ads, or, they're called promoted pins. And so I'm like, I can have fun doing Pinterest all day. And so some of, my favorite clients are DIY bloggers, and I happen to love HGTV. My kids are sick and tired of my husband and I always talking about houses and real estate and all this. And my mom too, she's like, oh my God, that's like perfect for you. I'm like, it really is. So I kind of, fell into something that I really enjoy and love. And so, I mean, that's kind of, I think, what we all hope to do.
Yes, yes. And kind of as you're going through that journey of yours, niching down more and more,
Mm-hmm.
so
Absolutely.
that you're still running a business that you love. And by doing that, you're doing something you love in exchange. So it makes you more excited.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And especially
So
now with Christmas, it's like, my DIY bloggers are like pumping out all kinds of like recipes and all this stuff. And I'm like printing stuff out. I'm like, okay, I got to
yeah,
make
well, it
that. I
must
got
be
to make
really
that.
interesting because you're finding out a lot of information along the way as well. Similar to social media management, but in the Pinterest realm.
Exactly. And a lot of things apply as far as kind of creating a funnel, but Pinterest isn't technically social media. It's not a social media platform. It's a search engine. And so there are differences. And then of course, like with Facebook and Instagram, you write introductions and all of that. Whereas Pinterest, it's here's the picture and for the pin, or, here's the pin, and it better be eye-catching and grabbing because you have no way to like really introduce it.
Yeah. Yeah. So along that lines, dive into a little bit about the work you do. What exactly is a Pinterest marketing strategist? How do you work with Pinterest?
Sure. Well, I mean, and there are two different titles kind of as you look out if you are looking to hire for Pinterest. There are people, I call them Pinterest managers. And then I call myself a strategist. And the difference is a manager is for someone who already knows Pinterest, knows Tailwind, and really wants to hand it off. It's, similar to any other thing. It's like, it, you know what you want done for your business, and you hand it off, and that person will go in and use Tailwind, which is the software program that I use, or online program that schedules the pins, like any other scheduler.
And Tailwind is like the number one to use just for Pinterest. Is you only use it in connection with Pinterest? It isn't for other platforms?
Actually, no. Since it has since expanded, I mean, Pinterest and Tailwind work closely together. Tailwind has created features knowing what Pinterest wants. So you're not going to violate any spammy rules, anything. They're like peanut butter and jelly kind of.
Nice.
There are other social media platforms like Hootsuite and Buffer, and some of those that if you want to consolidate, people will use those, and they do have analytics and things like that. But Tailwind has a couple extra features. Tailwind
Specific to Pinterest.
Specific only for Pinterest.
Okay.
But then also you can use Tailwind to schedule to Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, actually. Wow. So that's new.
That is newer, yes.
New. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is newer. They do have free trial. You can get a free trial on Tailwind. You can get a free, Tailwind for Pinterest, and you can get a free trial for Instagram. And I think I forget how many, I think it's like 50 posts on Instagram or whatever, but it's very helpful. It has, similar to other Instagram platforms where you can save the hashtags and do the hashtag research. It has some of that on there. I only use it for Pinterest.
Yeah.
But what is also neat is that you can schedule Facebook. And so you will put a pin, which is rectangle, or well, not, it's vertical, like a vertical rectangle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't have to make another, the other shape, the rectangle shape tipped sideways for Facebook. It sizes it and does that for you
That's pretty
when
nice.
it
That's
pins
a great
to,
feature.
or not pins, but posts to Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think they realized, I mean, like any business, it's like, well, do I only depend on Pinterest? Or it's like, well, we got other social media platforms we could schedule to. And you do see that with the other ones. Like I had used Planoly for Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, now you can use Planoly to post to Pinterest. But, you have to compare the features of each of the platforms. And so Tailwind is the one that I highly recommend because of the, some additional features that you get. And it's, some people find it confusing, but I think it's like anything, you just have to learn the ins and outs.
Right.
Of how to use it.
Yeah.
So.
Like all the platforms, like you said, you kind of have to compare and see what those schedulers offer for each of the different social media platforms you want to be on.
Right. Well, and we know like Facebook loves Facebook scheduler.
Yeah.
So
they want you to use their native now, which is
right.
great, except that you find yourself using all these different schedulers for things.
Well, right. Because, and you have to know going in, Facebook likes their scheduler. You can use Buffer, Hootsuite, whatever. But, you just know that they don't like it, and you have to take convenience over, am I going to have 3 different platforms? Am I going to have to, schedule and reschedule Facebook versus, there's the Meet Edgars that recycle content. So it's all, you weigh the pros and cons of, everything in the strategy that you choose. So.
Yeah. And so part of that strategist piece of your job is helping people determine the wording to use on the pins, or?
Well, because I come from like a digital marketing background, I do have like the funnel strategy and strategy, like different strategies in the background, because you can have a strategy to run pins to your social media, other social media platforms, depending on what your goal is. Like some of my clients are DIY bloggers, so they get monetized through the ads on their website. So they literally just want you to drive traffic. So there's that piece. Or if you want to create opt-ins and you want to grow your email list, I help you create the strategy to drive the pins to your, opt-in page or whatever, or YouTube. So like, for example, I had a client, she was not getting signups, and it's like, well, so we looked at her whole thing. It's like, well, we drove the traffic because Pinterest is that traffic driver piece.
Right.
It's once they get to your platform, whatever it is, are you capturing it? Do you have the calls to action? Is it easy to see sign up here? She had some things going to YouTube because she wanted to grow a YouTube channel, but those YouTube videos, for example, had no text underneath it to ask for a call to action. It's like, well, I drove your traffic.
Right.
To
So
your
now
YouTube
they're just
channel, but
watching
now
video, but
exactly.
there's no links underneath that to click on.
Right. So I kind of dig deeper on, what is your strategy? Let's measure your strategy. Is it working for you? If it's not, what can we adjust? Also, I know how to do Pinterest ads. So that's kind of like the higher level.
Which are those rich pins?
No.
Pinterest
promoted pins are Pinterest ads. So it's paid. It's paid.
I'm taking notes as we talk.
Rich pins are just the data that sticks. It's the metadata that gets pulled from your website that goes along with the pin. So hopefully it prevents people from stealing your pin or your image on your pin. So
Well, talking about that, so you're on Pinterest and let's say you come across something you like, you can pin that and connect it with your account, correct? Put it like
Right.
on one of your boards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think of Pinterest as like a big bulletin board, and it's like, okay, here's my cake recipes, here's my, dinner recipes, whatever. And so I mean, that's what the platform is for. I mean, there's a save button. You save it to whatever board because you're going to, refer to it later. And so it's like, oh yeah, I want that recipe. Let me go look on my cake board. So that is totally legitimate. It's sometimes, and it can get a little confusing because there's information on the top and there's information on the bottom. And the information on the top is who was the creator of that content, who was the originator of the content. On the bottom, it will say, Pam saved this pin to her cake board. And so then there's repins. And so it's like, well, in case I didn't find the originator and I found your pin, then it's, it just keeps getting repinned. And so that data from that pin goes along with it, no matter what board it goes to. So it always gets attributed to you. It's just, there's a little pin and it'll have like a number 50 by it. That means that particular pin is floating around somewhere on 50 people's boards. And so that's what you want, because it's like, well, if I have an opt-in, I want it on 50 people's boards, because then those people are going to go to those 50 other boards and repin it. And that's how it's the pinning, repinning, sharing. That is why that's the power of Pinterest. And it doesn't go away like Facebook and Instagram. It gets pushed down your feed, seen for about 30 seconds, and that's about it, right?
Right, exactly. I was going to say that's the nice piece of it. And I like it because I love how you explained it's like a bulletin board. Mm-hmm. And I love to visualize things. So it's nice to see that pin that's got a picture. And I mean, we all do different kinds of pictures on there, but I mean, some of them, before you even read the words, you're looking at the picture.
You're going, oh my God, I got to make that cake.
Yes, exactly. It's like, ooh, that looks like a luscious chocolate cake. Isn't that on everyone's Thanksgiving menu?
Well, I think I read somewhere you were saying you liked apple pie with cheddar cheese.
Yep, exactly. Exactly, which is like this New England thing.
I thought it was a Wisconsin thing. I thought it was a Wisconsin thing.
Yeah, well, and then when I was reading it, they said some people in the Midwest do that as well. But it's funny because like I thought everybody did a slice of cheddar cheese with their pie. And, when I married my husband and brought him into these family dinners, he was like, what's with the cheddar cheese slice with the pie? And I'm like, what do you mean? You didn't grow up like that? He's like, no.
Oh, I still think that's weird. Yeah. Even though they do it here, I don't do it. Oh my God. Like, just give me some vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. See, and a lot of people will do that. Warm it up and put some vanilla ice cream on it.
Yep.
Different traditions. So tell us about your ideal client and how you would work with them.
Well, I usually work with coaches or bloggers. And so, we do a discovery call, and as the strategist, they do appreciate, usually I get people, they know the power of Pinterest. Either they've done it and they just are ready to hand it off because they want to concentrate on, the thing, whatever it is they're working on. Or I get people that know the power of Pinterest, but just don't want to learn it. And so they really appreciate that strategy part of, okay, what do you want to do? And I help them put it into place, because besides being a Pinterest strategist, I mean, I was a tech VA, so I can help them put the technology in place. It's very, kind of like hands off for them. And so that's sort of like, I just kind of like to be the little elf in the background, making things happen. I do a monthly report and say, this is what's going on here, like knowing Pinterest has trends, and like right now it's holidays. So it's like, well, if you are in that kind of role where you can put a holiday spin on something, let's do a holiday spin. or, let's look in your Google Analytics, what's working well, what doesn't. So really didn't like analytics. Like growing up, I hated math, but it's like really, I've found how valuable that is to see what works and then, either recreate it and do more of it, or also from the content repurposing standpoint is, well, maybe we just need to change some images for your pins because your content is really good and it's maximized, but you're just not getting traffic.
There you
And
go.
so,
So exactly.
I
That's
love
what I
doing
tell
that.
people. Yep. The analytics, you look at them, what looks great, keep it on your list. If it's not doing so well, maybe you can tweak it. Like you
Yeah.
said, change the photo on it and try it again.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not an exact science. And so analytics is really the one that tells you if it's working. And so
there's not a lot of exact science to any of this stuff, is there?
well, that's true. That's true.
It's true. I know. So, all right. So this is all about breaking through your brick walls. So I want you to share with the audience a particular struggle or hurdle that you've experienced while you've been growing this business and how you've gotten over that.
The biggest hurdle, especially in the beginning, was the shiny object syndrome and the thinking you need to be everywhere, like especially right in the beginning. I mean, there's only one of you. You want to do all the things. It's like, oh, do I concentrate on email marketing? Do I concentrate on social media? Do I do a blog? And I need this course to help me learn this, and I need this course to help me do that. And so there was a ton of shiny object syndrome, wanting to be in all the places, thinking I needed to be in all the places. And so, I was in a paid membership. And so I think instead of all the money that I spent on trying to learn all the things, you should just, pick either a group program or hire a coach or someone that can guide you and kind of put your blinders on. And what I've learned too, I mean, as we were saying, it's not an exact science. Well, I was following this one particular coach. I followed her style. It wasn't producing the results that I wanted. And it's like, and that's okay. I mean, it was like, I tried it. And so it's like, there's plenty of other strategies out there. And so it's like, well, okay, now I found someone else. And so it's also limiting all the voices because, you sign up for all the things. And I'm still guilty of it. And so I have to just kick myself. It's like, okay, I don't need 5 different people telling me what their email marketing strategy is. And they all bombard my email. And then it's confusing because then there's conflicting. And I can't tell you how many email welcome sequence templates I've downloaded. And so it clutters up your mind, it clutters up your hard drive. And it's like, pick a person, pick a platform, and just kind of go with it. And so that is.
And make sure who you're working with, they understand what your goals are. Sometimes you have to clearly see what your goals are. Like, where do you want to go? And what do you intend to do with this, your business? And then, just helping you focus on it. Okay, you're going to focus on this. You're not going to focus on 24 different things. You're going to focus on 4 different things.
Right.
And it's definitely, the shiny object syndrome is like huge for everybody. It was for me in the beginning too. I mean, I tell people I probably spun my wheels for a good, oh my gosh, year and a half of trying to be everywhere and do everything and follow everyone. And it's like exhausting. It's exhausting. And then you sit there and go, did I actually get anything done?
Oh, I know. And I mean, the going back to sort of the analytics was like, go back and revisit and measure what you're doing. So if it's get on one platform, build that platform. If it's not producing results, then move to the next platform, or, go back and revisit what you're doing. And a coach really helps because they have the experience, they worked with a variety of people, and I think it's just much easier and streamlined. I mean, because I know in my cello board, I have courses on cards that are, and I know I'm not the only one. And so like any virtual assistant, anyone, I'm like, stop doing all the things.
No more. You have to just draw the line. Well, see, and you did. And now look how your business is going, you know?
I mean, it really is. I mean, and especially too, like from a workflow perspective, I mean, I've only recently in the last year, like really focused on that. It's like, I mean, I've always heard that tip of batch your work, batch your work. Well, I couldn't batch my work because I was kind of a generalist. And so it was like, I had one client who would have me do 5 different things. And then I have another client that would have me do 5 different things. So I couldn't do that. Whereas now it's like, okay, I have Pinterest days. It's like, okay, I'm going to put on my Pinterest hat. I'm going to schedule out for these people, and, they're going to be set. And so it's, it's that batching, it's the get in the mindset, and that, I don't know, that switching thing or whatever it's called, where you're, just going from task to task and you're not being effective.
That's why they tell you multitasking is the worst. Like having batch things, like one day you're focused on, or in the morning you're focused on client work. And in the afternoon, you're going to record videos, or you're going to, social media something. It's better than popping from one thing to another and then wondering why you're spinning your wheels and not getting the things done.
Yeah. Well, I know you've said it's like, okay, I take my 2 hours in the beginning of the month or whatever, schedule everything out. I mean, and then too, it's kind of that relief of check that off the list. I'm good for the month. You can just go in and respond. So you're like relaxed and not like always doing something. I mean, that's a work in progress.
And it is. I mean, it took me, I've been in business for 5 years, and it took me 4 years to figure out that batching social media posts was the best way to do it, because you don't take the time often to just sit there and take your pen to paper and just make a list of, okay, this is everything that needs to be done. How do you batch those like tasks together? And how do you go about doing that? How do you get the focus? And it takes a while. It does take a while. Some people may catch on quicker, but
no, I didn't.
Nope. Not me, not you.
I'm still a work in progress. I mean, and too, like when you first start out, you're too busy doing all of the things to have that, like, let's reflect, if you have to do it quarterly. I mean, like I never worked on my business because I was too busy like doing client work. And so it's like, until you can have that time to reflect, what did I do? What worked? What am I going to do going forward? And, you need to have that time, client time, and on your business time, and learning time. And, you just, I was always of the, and I think I made the comment on the thread, like you said, oh, I take 2 hours and I do this. I'm like, I would love 2 hours in my life just to sit down and focus on that. And it's really, I was kind of like, I had the all or nothing mindset of, I got to have 2 hours, and then I wouldn't have 2 hours. So then that task wouldn't get done. And it's like, it finally took me time. If I schedule an hour here and an hour here, that's doable. And then I get the task done. And it's that, you can't climb the whole mountain. It's like one step at a time. Or how do you eat an elephant? It's like, you have to just, and that it makes you feel good because you're like making progress, and it's, reflecting back. I'm like, okay, I am doing this worked, and, little by little is better than zero. And I was doing zero for, quite a long time of, just doing client work and not on my own business. And so that's another thing I think, as business owners, that you really have to take the time to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So before we wind up, a couple fun questions for you. I love these little fun questions. Just fun little questions.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself 2 years from now?
That is a good question. I am toying with either doing like a agency model. I have had a couple subcontractors help me in the past. So as I build more clients, because I am just kind of getting over the transition. I mean, in February of this year is when I rebranded, 100% went Pinterest strategy, but I had old retainer clients that, I do like all the things and I still love them and I still have them, but
Me too. And it's hard to give up some of the ones you've been working with a long time.
right. So
I mean, if you enjoy it.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, I like, we get along well and I like the work, so I do it. And so, in this transition is, just primarily focusing on Pinterest. So either, as work ebbed and flowed, I brought on subcontractors. And so it's like, now it's like, okay, is my focus 100% Pinterest? I can grow that and be like an agency, or depending, I'm also growing like my affiliate marketing kind of arm of income, and that you can use with Pinterest as well.
Oh, I like that too. Oh, good
Added
choice.
benefit.
Yeah.
And I do like the funnel. I still like the tech aspect of funnel building, and there is funnels that go along because Pinterest will fill your funnel. So it all is related. Just figuring out, do I want to do the agency model or do I want to do more funnels? Maybe I want to do more coaching. I don't know. That's a terrible question of 2 years in a row. I don't know.
2 years. I know 2 years seems like, people say that they're like 2 years from now. It seems like it's a long way out, but it really isn't. No. You break it down, you're like, that's 24 months. So by the time 12 months goes by, you're going to have a better outlook and better knowledge on, okay, this is the direction. Sometimes it's a direction that you want to take. Sometimes it's the direction your business is taking you. And you have to say, does this still feel right? Or do I need to change it up? You won't know.
Well, and I was one of those kids growing up. I mean, I admire those kids that like have parents as doctors and they know, like, they come out of the womb saying, I'm going to just be a doctor, right? And their whole life is focused on, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to do this. And I mean, part of the shiny object syndrome was like, there's so many different things you can do. And, I like a lot of them. I mean, obviously I know what I don't like, but,
which is good. But yes, you're right. The possibilities are endless. I mean, who knows where it will go, right?
Right. So, I mean, I love all this like year end 2020, look 3 to 5 years from now. I'm like, I can't even look past a year.
Yep. I always tell people, just keep 1 year in sight and you're doing good.
Yeah.
The rest of it will fall into place. You have time to plan what's happening afterwards. But, if you've got 12 months, you're doing great. You are doing great, let me tell you. All right. So how about something other than Pinterest, other than homeschooling? What else do you love to do in your spare time?
Love to go to different restaurants and try different food. I love to read, love to bake. I hate to cook, but I love to bake. If we could just live off of like cake and fun things like that.
I know, that's what I said. Cookies and brownies, and yeah, that would
love it all. Yep.
That would be fun.
It's terrible. So then I can't say that I like it, but I guess I have to say, exercise has to go along with that. So
see, this was a fun episode because it's right before Thanksgiving. So food is on everybody's mind anyhow.
I know it.
So what else do you want to share with our listeners? I think you have that new course, the beginner Pinterest users. So
yes,
why don't you
it's called Pinning Foundations.
Okay.
And I mean, you go down the rabbit hole of Pinterest. And I mean, when you look at Pinterest, there's a lot of, clickbaitiness of grow this, grow your account to 500,000 in like 20 days and all this kind of stuff. And so my job is to educate people. And so like for me, there are different strategies, but there is like a core set of standards or strategies or the foundation that you have to build for Pinterest to work. And so that's why I created the Pinning Foundations, is that very beginner course on get your ducks in a row first before you start building onto it. And then, after that is I have another course, which is the pinning automation, which is specifically using Tailwind, because it's like, well, your foundation is built. Now let's, add some automation into it. And so they go together like that. But it is for beginners or people, who have dabbled in Pinterest. I get those questions too. It's like, well, I'm doing it, but it's not working. And so Pinterest is a long-term strategy. It's not going to happen. If it does, great. You may have a pin. I love the ones that say how to make a pin go viral. And I click on it and it's the same strategies that I'm teaching. It's like, well, those are the foundations. You can't tell this automated background in the background that it's like, okay, well, I used a nice photo and I used this and I did this and it's going to make it viral. It's like, well, it doesn't work like that. It's an algorithm. It has to learn, and you're in the driver's seat. So it's like whatever you tell them, Pinterest is going to take it and run. And it's outside of your control, because is what you're pinning. Also, part of it is how you've uploaded it, what words you've used, but also is your audience liking it? Right. And so if, I can't control my audience and say, hey, everyone, I'm putting a pin up, make it go viral, everyone pin it.
That would be great if we could do that, right?
Really, I posted something on my business page. It was a quote and someone picked it up and it got like 60,000 shares and reshares and all this stuff. And it was just like, okay, I do that every week, but for some reason it was someone saw that. And it's the same thing on Pinterest. And so I built this. I built it like for people like me. I don't have time to sit there and watch hour-long videos. It's like, here are my pockets of time. And, I was saying I can't sit down for 2 hours. Well, I can't. And so each video, a couple of them are more than 30 minutes, but for the most part, they're like 10 to 20 minutes. I have a few little worksheets to take notes. I give you access to Airtable or Google Sheets and tell you how to look at your analytics. It's just really everything you need to know to build that foundation and then build upon it.
Great. So I will make sure all those links are included with this. So
sure.
Everybody can have access to that. That would be awesome. Mm-hmm. And then how about your parting words of advice? What do you want our listeners to know? The parting words of advice from Karrie.
Start using Pinterest, man. It's SEO. It lives out there forever. It's like your legacy of your business. And I can't stress that enough. We all know the online game is you can't build it and they will come. You have to attract people through SEO and whatever. And Pinterest helps with, helping yourself be found. And that's, I've had people that I've never met before, had never had any contact with, and they're saying, hey, do you want to come talk about Pinterest at the summit? Because they saw me. I'm like, well, hey, yeah, I can't stop talking about Pinterest. So it's like people, it's my like Pinterest, make Pinterest 2020, make Pinterest your platform and add that on to your to-do list. And really it's front loading, and then you just have to maintain it and build it. And it's like anything, that momentum builds. And, you'll be happy that you invested the time, because it will pay off in a lot of different ways.
Good advice, because that's on my 2020 list.
Yay. I know that. And I know you have a lot of content too, good blog posts. And
yeah, exactly. So I am excited to dive into this world of Pinterest for more than looking up my recipes.
Well, you'll appreciate it when you go to Pinterest with a new set of eyes instead of, for me, it's like, where's my nut-free recipes? Because I peanut kids, like, don't eat nuts. So it's like, now it's like you can look at recipes, but then,
check out all this content.
Check out all the other content. And you know.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to come and talk to me today and talk to everybody. I think Pinterest is a really important platform for everybody.
Underutilized,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, definitely. It is definitely something that is growing leaps and bounds and worth people checking out for sure.
No, it really is. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone else who joined us for yet another episode of Breaking Through Your Brick Walls. I'm going to be back 3 times during the month of December. And I just want to say, remember, every day is a good day to be you. You're amazing. Please don't forget it. Thanks so much. See you soon.